Hello and welcome to the International Pentagon Challenge. My name is Kyanite and together we'll be embarking on a very special Football Manager journey where we'll aim to try and win every major international competition in all 5 continents, forcing our hand to play with hundreds of different types of players and most importantly hopefully create loads of awesome different types of tactics along the way. Once that's complete, only then are we allowed to set our sights on the biggest of all goals, the FIFA World Cup. How many nations will we have to manage until we work our way to the top? How many dodgy names will we have to pronounce along the way? So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully we're going to have a lot of fun along the way. Okay, hello and welcome to episode 41 of the International Pentagon Challenge. So, it's been a topsy-turvy ride, but we somehow find ourselves back in Asia, and we are managing the mighty samurais. Yes, we're managing Japan. So, last episode was basically the episode where you guys kind of found out I took over Japan, and obviously we're limiting kind of these episodes to important matches, and up until this point, because I joined and we'd already qualified for the Asian Cup, it's just been friendlies galore. So, let's take a quick look at how we got on. So, I believe, if I remember correctly, my first friendly as Japan manager was against Iraq. And really, I mean, I'm not going to go through each and every single one. You guys can see we've got some pretty decent results on the board. Beating teams like Iran, who are another big team in our continent, really, a team who regularly on the game make the World Cup. We beat Belgium, which granted it's not, you know, a Belgium with a Lukaku in it or a De Bruyne, but Belgium do produce some great regens and on paper in the game are probably a stronger side than us, so to beat them 3-0 on their own turf was also really good. China are also a team, as we know, who made the last World Cup, so a good win against them. And Iraq won the last Asian Cup, so I believe they won the last Asian Cup. They definitely won the one, I think, when we were North Korea manager. Yeah, Iraq, as we can see, did win the 2023 Asian Cup. So, they are the defending champions, and we beat them as well. We were kind of unlucky to only draw 1-1 against the Ivory Coast. They had most of the clear-cut chances, but it says a lot when they had 2 clear-cut chances and only 1 shot on target. So, it's a bit of kind of like one of them dodgy stats. Very unlucky not to win that game. And then against Egypt, again, as we can see from the stats, even though they had 2 clear-cut chances, we really dominated the game, and we went 1-0 down only to a Ramadan Subhi penalty, who for the sake of it now plays for Fenerbahce, joined Derby for £2 million. Wow, after leaving Stoke and now plays in Turkey. I thought that would be a bit of an interesting one to look at, really. And we also saw this guy up front. I believe he was that really good player when we first started our career, who played up front for the Egypt under-21s when we were managing the DR Congo under-21s. I think that was him. But yeah, so you've probably noticed I'm playing yet another different style of formation, and I do promise that it is not like, I'm not doing this on purpose where every time I manage a new nation I am using a different tactical approach or formation. It is purely by coincidence because I'm trying to create something that I believe will work well, given the players I have at my disposal. And I want to say what we've got at the moment is working well, but if you've been watching the International Pentagon Challenge up until this point, you'll know that we always tend to do really well in friendlies and completely bottle it when we end up going to a tournament. So it is going to be the Asian Cup that is knocking on our doors. We have been placed in Group D, along with Japan, Palestine and Uzbekistan. China have already kicked things off with a nice 2-0 win against Uzbekistan. We play Palestine now in this episode, who are really the weakest team within our group. And really on paper, you can see in the past winners list, we should really be looking to deal some damage and really be looking to win the Asian Cup. It's going to be difficult with teams like Australia and Iraq and Saudi in there, and China would probably do pretty well as well, and Iran. But, you know, we should, I feel like, be able to get our first bit of silverware in this cup. And obviously, if we win the Asian Cup, it means that I resign from the job immediately. I guess, and we go in search of looking to defeat another continent in our Pentagon challenge. So, that to one side. I'm going to try and keep things tactically relatively simple, because I don't want this episode to go on too long. And I guess, given that the next 2 episodes are just going to be Asian Cup games, you guys will get the gist anyways. So, we've gone with a 5-3-2, and I feel like the 5-3-2 allows us to utilise our better players. So we have some very good strikers and we have some very good centre midfielders, one of whom, just to really emphasise it, won the Asian Player of the Year. He is a regen, of course. I have put faces on my players. Plays for Real Madrid. So when you've got a lad that plays for Real Madrid, you know he must be good. Nagata plays for Marseille. If you want to take a look at any of these attributes, just pause the video. And Furuyama, who plays for Leeds, who I think are in the Premier League nowadays. They are. So, yeah, I wanted to find a formation that would allow us to utilise our best players, and I believe this formation allows us to do so, but at the same time creates a lot of passing triangles. A lot of teams, because we're such a strong team within the continent, are going to be looking to counter-attack us, so having the 3 static centre-backs kind of prevents counter-attacking against us being so effective, while we can also maintain 2 strikers up front and keep the pressure on from the front. As well, we don't really have any great wingers, I've got to be honest, and we don't have great fullbacks, so it just didn't make sense to go for a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, which utilises, you know, wide players and fullbacks getting involved like we had with England, for example. So that's what we're going for. Attacking mentality, we do have a standard variation, but really, even against the good teams, I've been going with the attacking mentality. What we might look to do is look to retain possession and drop our defensive line up against strong teams who play with a fast guy up front, look to man-mark players who seem like they could potentially be a danger, and if we come up against opposition with a narrow formation, we'll look to get the wing-backs involved a lot more. Otherwise, we'll look to try and get our central players on the ball as much as possible, and it does generate some real nice football because of the technical ability that we possess. Players that you should probably look out for include Takasaki. Kenta Takasaki plays for Chelsea, joined them for 1.9 million quid 2 years ago from Gamba in Japan. Is a very, very tidy player, very physical, could be a little bit better technically, but is a very, very good complete forward, drifts out wide quite a lot, helps us hold the ball up front. We've also got Kawano, who plays for Espanyol in La Liga, not a bad player. Really on paper should be second best to Kenichi Seki, who plays for West Brom in the Premier League, has some great stats, but he just doesn't really seem to click a lot of the time up front. And I'm not really sure why, to be honest, given he's a Premier League striker. As far as his record is concerned in the Premier League, I say he's a Premier League striker, but as we can see, he has struggled to get goals at West Brom, even though them and Mark Hughes have been pushing for a European spot recently. So yeah, he's not getting in the squad ahead of Dean Rosenthal. Other players you should probably look out for bar the central players. We've got Nagayama, who plays for PSV. Very, very tidy player. Very Japanese player as well. And Kurokawa, who also plays for Leeds in the Barclays. Well, it's not really the Barclays Premier League anymore. In the Premier League. Again, another very, very good player. Another very, very good option off the bench. Tactically, what we're going to be looking to do, as you guys can see, try and get the central players on the ball. Try and create as many passing triangles as possible. Keep it nice and simple. Use our technical advantage up against the weaker teams by playing a shorter passing game. Look to try and keep hold of the ball. And yeah, the triangle should help us move up the pitch. 2 up front should help us apply pressure from the front. And what we'll see is, due to the attacking mentality, that our midfielders, our central players, will look to make late runs into the box as well, and will look to really overwhelm the central players of the opposition and have players not only, you know, play some nice passing through the middle of the park, but also get in on the end of crosses from the wide players, whilst also maintaining 3 players at the back to prevent the counter-attacking. So really simple approach, but I have found it plays some really sexy football, which I'm sure you guys will enjoy, providing we don't bottle the Asian Cup. So without further ado, let's play Palestine. One thing worth mentioning as well, Han Fyong-il has recently joined Leicester, which is good for him. He isn't really our first choice right back or right wing back or right midfielder. We do sometimes play wingers as our right wing backs or left wing back, even though, you know, it ends up with them being red. Like, for example, Asano's actually a striker. which seems strange, but he's actually one of our top scorers playing as a left wing back because he's either footed, and the fact that he's a striker a lot of the time means that he actually ends up pushing forwards and getting in on the end of like crosses into the box, hence why we just end up overpowering, you know, the opposition that way. And if it's a decent cross and he cuts inside and gets in on it, he's got the finishing ability to poke the ball home, which is why really as a wing back he's more of a false winger. Even though he's on red, he's still performing relatively well. So yes, our main right back is injured, so he's not going to be at the tournament, which is a shame. Now, one really interesting thing about Palestine is the fact that they don't seem to be playing any regens. Like, I'm not sure what's going on in the game, or I don't know, but they have like three 32-plus-year-olds up front, which is a bit strange, but it means they're not the fastest either. So whilst we look to exploit the middle, we're actually going to tweak our instructions, try and utilise our wide men more, play a real wide game, stretch the park, play maybe a little bit more direct to use our technical advantage and make the park bigger, and, you know, just try and get behind the fullbacks, use all the space out wide. And the fact that we're playing with a Carrilero and Mezzala as well, I believe it's a Carrilero, or I mean it's one of the two, who always likes to kind of get in the half spaces in the wide areas, and then that ends up creating a triangle between the overlapping wing back anyways, as if we've got like a 1-2 on the wing with a winger anyways, so that works pretty well. So we could end up changing both of their roles as the game progresses, but really it should be a straightforward game and it should be a straightforward win for us. So there we go then, in terms of our changes. Because there are three of them up front, I'm just going to slightly drop our defensive line. I'm going to up our tempo though, because we just are the better team, and tell them to be a little bit more expressive, prevent the short goalkeeper distribution, get stuck in, and exploit the flanks, obviously. Yeah, just try and use our superiority, really. But here we go. So, it's not obviously the first Asian Cup that we manage at. I believe the last Asian Cup we managed at, we were the North Korea manager, and we all remember how that ended. To be fair, it wasn't a bad tournament. Oh, for God's sake, we've lost the ball already. But yeah, I think what was really disappointing was the fact that we lost to Thailand, where that regen just tore us a new one, if you guys remember that. This is where Palestine are going to be really, really dangerous, which is why it would be great for us to get one or two kind of early goals. Cross into... Oh, yeah. They're going to be playing that direct ball forward, so in this case as well, it really does help us that we have three centre-backs kind of staying back at all times. We can see how narrow they're playing as well. It's important that we keep the pressure on, win that ball back, and get the ball out wide towards our overlapping wing-backs. Han Fyong-il is going to pick the ball up on the right-hand side. We'll find Kawano, and it's a solid save from Tawfiq Ali for Palestine. Takasaki to Kawano, and apparently he's offside. So not the best of starts, I've got to admit. We're actually playing in Brisbane, so interesting. Doesn't maybe bode well for us because Australia obviously are one of the stronger sides in this tournament, so the fact that they are on home soil isn't really great for us. And the fact that Takasaki missed that sitter isn't great for us either. It is easy to see why Chelsea have invested in him, though. He doesn't cost much. He has scored some decent goals for us in the friendlies. Obviously, I've not shown you guys the goals because it doesn't really seem like there's much point showing you guys friendly goals. But the style of football we were playing throughout was really, really, really satisfying. So Nagata whips the ball in. Uchida picks it up. Loads of passing options. Finds a centre-back, who probably wasn't the best passing option in that kind of scenario. Can he whip the ball in now, Nagata? Yuki can. Kawano. Nagata. Someone please shoot at the goddamn goal. We're passing it around well, but we're struggling to really just kind of find that clear-cut chance, and it's a poor cross in the end. That is really one of the issues when we play these narrow teams and look to exploit the wide areas, is that so much emphasis ends up going on our wing backs, and we just don't have good wingers nor good wing backs. It's that simple. I think the highest crossing ability we've got off the top of my head is about 10, which is very disappointing. Can Fyong-il prove me wrong? He can. I think he's listening. Takasaki, the lad from Chelsea, who's disappointingly not actually out on loan because he's not playing for Chelsea. It'd be great for me, at least, you know, for him to get more game time. Does manage to get in on the end of that cross and put us 1-0 up against Palestine. I think now that we've taken the lead, against a team like Palestine, we probably don't have quite as much possession as I'd like to see us have. So I'm going to turn retain possession on. Again, Palestine haven't really showed anything too surprising. Just a lot of the direct ball going forward. This really nice football, but the cross just didn't quite materialise in the end. And this is where we've got to be careful. Very good tackle from Soa. And then the question is, can we counter-attack ourselves? Fyong-il had a good game so far. It's just, he's got 1 assist, but other than that cross for the 1 assist, he's been a bit underwhelming, I feel like. I think you guys have probably gathered from my time managing England that I really do deem the wing-backs... Oh, okay. He almost missed that. He shot that straight at the goalkeeper. That for me, the way I kind of foresee football matches and think the game should be played, the full-back or the wing-back is such an important role in the modern game, that it's such an important role that with a lot of the weaker teams that we've managed, I'm surprised that we've actually got this problem as Japan, because if you think historically, I think Japan have always produced pretty decent wingers or fullbacks, you know, quite pacey players. And we have come into a regen Japan side where it has been a bit of a problem for us. And I don't really like coming into teams and having to play these types of formations, because I like my players doubling up on the wings, getting the ball wide and having the big man in the middle, and you know, playing that way. But what's important is that we've been able to come in, we've been able to analyse the situation, and hopefully now we will go 3-0 up and hang Fyong-il, who's newly moved to Leicester. I said he's not had the best of games, but to be fair, he's proven me wrong. I mean, he's gotten 2 assists. Was it 2 assists? Yeah, I think it was 2 assists. He at least got 1 assist, despite maybe not having the best start of games. And yeah, he's managed to get a goal in the end. And that was kind of a really good example of what I meant when I was talking about the left wing back getting in late into the box. And that's where the fact, Asano, that's where the fact that he is kind of a striker in terms of his trade really comes in handy for us. So, real nice stuff. Our possession is increasing as well, 64, 65%. We have gone to key highlights. It'll make the video a little bit shorter, a little bit easier for you guys to swallow, a little bit easier for me to edit as well. And, yeah, I think it's safe to say 3-0 up now, boys. Make that 4. We're winning this game, and we're cementing our place at the top of our group, which is, you know, really an important thing to do this early on. Takasaki's got a hat-trick already. A part of me kind of wants to take him off and keep him fresh for the next few games, because he is a very important player for us. But another part of me thinks it's harsh to take him off. But I am going to take him off because we did actually have a scare. I think it was against Egypt in our friendly against them when we drew 1-1, where I think it was against either them or the Ivory Coast, where he came off injured, and I was like, oh God, you are such an important player for us. 5-0. But yeah, you are such an important player for us. I don't want you injured or not being able to make the Asian Cup. And we don't want him injured going into the remainder of this tournament. So 5-0. We've made it look really, really easy. To be fair to Palestine, they started off well. But yeah, we really are playing like samurais at the moment. So in terms of the substitutions we are going to make, it's going to be Kenichi Seki coming on, the West Brom lad, for Takasaki, and I think we can afford a change in the middle of the park. It's hard, you know, when ratings really are this high. We are only limited to 3 substitutions, so yeah, but I do want to try and like keep some fresh legs on. Nagayama's always contributed with goals here and there. Nagata plays our box-to-box, and it's a very intensive role, so for that reason, I am going to take him off, so he's fresh for the next game. I'm not sure if the next game is against China or if the next game is against Uzbekistan. If you guys remember from my time with North Korea, Uzbekistan have always really been a bit of a bogey team for me in Asia. But I think we should be able to see past them with Japan, especially given how we're playing at the moment. And we played, obviously, a friendly against China, 6-0. A friendly against China not long ago, and we beat them 3-1. So obviously cup games are very different to friendlies, and we saw that the hard way when we lost to the Czech Republic in the World Cup as the England manager, despite the fact that we beat them and drew against them in the qualifiers. Finish? Oh, 7-0. This is embarrassing. I mean, we're good, but we shouldn't be this good. Palestine yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on here for them, to be honest. They've changed to a 4-4-1-1. It's not really going to do them many favours. But yeah, so let's make one more substitution. Keep people nice and fresh. Han Fyong-il can stay on because he needs a match fitness. It's really just a case of who comes off. I think Fukuda will come on for Asano, and that'll be our 3 substitutions, because those wing backs are going to be the players who will get tired out the most, you know what I mean, with the amount of running that they end up doing. So yeah, but as I was saying, actually I can't remember what I was saying now. I think I was talking about the Czech Republic. Yeah, we beat China in a friendly, but we were surprised to see that they made the World Cup, and they did pretty well in the World Cup as well. So, yeah, we are going to need players nice and fresh for that game. Kind of feels like if we beat China, who are the second favourites to go up in our group, wow, 8-0, then that'll be the group in the bag. And I think our main kind of opposition throughout this entire tournament are going to be Saudi Arabia, Australia, South Korea, and, of course, Saudi Arabia. Did I say Saudi Arabia? Australia. That's who I meant. But yeah, an 8-0 win should hopefully mean that those managers are shivering. They're scared. They should realise by now that we are more than ready to rumble. And there we go. Good to see that Seki came on and really made a difference, because he's been a bit dry recently. And when you look at his attributes, you think, mate, you should be doing a lot better, you know, as a Premier League striker. But an 8-0 win against Palestine. Let's not get too excited, because it is only Palestine, with all due respect to Palestine. And that will be it for this episode. So, Japan 8, Palestine 0. Kenta Takasaki, man of the match with a hat-trick. Buzzing to see him do well. This is what I mean. He's not really getting much game time for Chelsea. I'd like to see him go out on loan. I think he could become a very important player for us in the future. But that is going to be it for this episode. So, let me know in the comments below if there's, like, any questions you have on Japan, because I know we do move really quickly in this series. And if there are any players you want me to look at specifically, or even if there are players from the past that now in 2027 you think will be really interesting to look at, I'm always up for those kinds of requests and stuff. We're having loads and loads of fun in this Pentagon challenge, and I just really, really hope we can put Asia to bed and, yeah, see out Japan. And let me know in the comments if you think, let's say we do win the Asian Cup. I know I'm kind of jumping ahead here when we might not. But let's say we do win the Asian Cup and we do manage to kind of cross Asia off the Pentagon Challenge list. Would you guys want me to resign straight away and go straight onto another continent? Or do you think I should stay with Japan and apply for kind of countries in another continent? And that could result in me managing Japan at a World Cup. Do you guys think that would be something that would be interesting for you guys to see? I don't know. It's all up to you guys. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching.